Welcome everyone to our second podcast at the RStLYC Club. My name is Pierre Farmer, Rear Commodore of our club, and I will be hosting this session. This podcast is integrated in the new newsletter, Latitude 45.4. Today's topic is about AQVA, Adapted Quebec Sailing Association. Joining me in this discussion will be Patrick Flaherty, former Commodore and fellow member. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you. Very happy to be here, Pierre.
I'm happy you could join us and give us more information about the AQVA. First of all, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved with AQVA.
Okay, I retired in 2005, at which time I was Rear Commodore like you are right now, Pierre. So that kept me pretty busy for the next 5 years until my period as Commodore ended at the end of 2009. So after that, I found myself with time on my hands and looking for some way to occupy my time in a way that was socially responsible and looking for a way to give back to society, if I can put it that way. And through a friend, I came across the AQVA, and initially I worked with them as a volunteer during the summer. I would go out on the boats with the sailors with handicaps. So I would ride in like a jump seat behind the sailor and help them if needed. But mostly I was there just for security. I would have a VHF radio in case I needed to call the base if something happened. Nothing ever happened. Everything the system is so safe. But that's what I did. And later that summer, I was invited to one of their management meetings. And in it, I got to look at their books. And that's when I realized that they had no money at all, just nothing. They couldn't even be sure from 1 year, at the end of 1 year, that they'd be able to start the next year. So I realized that my background is sales and marketing, that I could probably contribute much more effectively as a fundraiser rather than just as a volunteer on the boats. So that's where it came.
Oh, interesting. Now, could you give us more information about the history of this event, the regatta, and how it is associated to our club?
After I had that idea in my head, I started talking to friends of mine and other members of the RStLYC Yacht Club about the AQVA and their need for money and what we might do in various ways. And it was quite interesting. Everybody was sympathetic to the question and to the idea. And a lot of ideas were kicked around and, in most cases discarded because they weren't workable. But in the midst of all that, David Weisenthal came up with the idea that we hold a regatta, a fundraising regatta, along the lines of one that was held for about 5 years on Lake St. Louis from around 1990 to 1995, that was called the Easter Seals Regatta. And it was very similar, a fundraiser for, at that time, the Easter Seals Society supported what they call like a handicapped children, at that time specifically children. So we looked into it, found that yes, that the concept was no longer active here in Montreal, and we could do it. So then we started planning it. And it so happened that the first year we were planning the regatta was 2013, also the 125th anniversary of the club, the RStLYC Yacht Club. So it fit well, and with the support of the club's officers, who I must say from then until this day have been really, really behind this effort, we felt that we were able to produce this idea as a great way for the club in its totality and all the members also give back to society, but in the most perfect way. It's sailors helping sailors. So that's how it started.
Perfect. Could you tell us what AQVA achieved so far with the money we found for them in terms of boats, in terms of what services they can give throughout the province?
Well, at least right from the beginning, the first year we raised $15,000, which was even beyond our wildest dreams at that point. Just with that, they knew that the next year they would be functioning. So they were able to go through the winter with confidence in the next year's happening. But then in subsequent years, we kept raising more and more and more money until our last big year in 2019, we raised $55,000. So they have bought boats, because each boat costs $25,000. It did a few years ago, probably more now. But right from the beginning, they had to do repairs to the boats. They do get a little bit banged up. They had to buy sails. They had to, fix rigging and many, many things like that. And they need coach boats, just like we do, because they have a race team. So they've had no end of money for the funds. More recently, they're trying to expand across the province. And usually that means initially lending a boat or giving a boat to a group like that. So they really now have the means to grow and expand, and they keep growing and keep expanding their services to the population of sailors with disabilities across the province. It's wonderful.
So I hear there are 6 to 8 boats here in Montreal, and there's few boats otherwise in Magog in the province.
Yes, the AQVA Point Clear is their original base, and it's their biggest. The AQVA owns 6 boats, and I think there are 2 more owned privately by members of the AQVA. And now in Lac Petit Magog, they have 1 or 2 boats. I'm not sure. I think it's 2. And more recently in Carleton-sur-Mer in Gaspésie, they have 1 boat that has been loaned to them by Point Claire. There's a great deal of activity trying to find new sites, but it's very difficult because, for instance, you need handicap transport, public transport to the site where your boats are, and there's, a lot of small towns don't have such a thing, so it's complicated.
Perfect. Now, can you talk to us a little bit about this very special boat called the Martin 16? How is it the same, but how is it special for people with disabilities?
Okay, it was specifically designed for people with disabilities by a gentleman named Don Martin in Vancouver in the early 1980s. And René Dallaire, the founder of the AQVA, had an opportunity, was invited actually to Vancouver to try this boat. And he fell in love with it and decided he had to establish a group here in Quebec to provide this kind of sailing. The boat itself is 16 feet long, about 5 feet wide. It's a keel boat, so it has a big drop keel with a big bullet on the bottom of it. The keel itself can come up just to make it more easily transportable on a trailer. And there's one sailor, a special seat for one sailor who sits down very low on the boat. And in front of him, he has a joystick, and all the lines for the sails come back just beside the joystick, so he can function that well. And of course, it's adapted. The whole thing is adaptable to whatever the physical disability is. The greatest example is a quadriplegic sailor, which René Dallaire, the founder, is. So he operates we install a sip and puff machine. It's a controller that's electrically driven, and with 2 straws coming out of it, he can, by blowing or puffing on each straw, one straw controls the rudder, the other straw controls the sails in, out. And it's astounding. I've been out on the boat with René, and he not only sails that boat, he races it, and he wins. So talk about liberty that these boats are providing. It's quite remarkable.
Could you talk to us about the targets for this year's 2021 fundraiser event?
Yes, indeed. This year we've set a target of $50,000. The last year we were able to run the full regatta pre-COVID was in 2019. We actually raised 55 that year. We're being a little easy on ourselves this year in terms of a target, just because we're not sure in the aftermath of the COVID. But here we are just 3 weeks before the event on August 21st, and we've already raised more than half of that. And more importantly, the participation of sailboats, because the whole concept is we ask sailors like the Royal St. Lawrence and all the other clubs to register their boat to participate in the regatta, but then raise money from their friends to sponsor their boat in this regatta. And the enthusiasm with which members of the Royal St. Lawrence Yacht Club have joined in is wonderful, and other clubs as well. Point Clear particularly, of course, is their home base of the AQVA, so they're always great participants. But the Venture Sailing Club and Beaconsfield Yacht Club, Bay Durfee Yacht Club, the El Perot Yacht Club, and the yacht clubs in the Lake of Two Mountains participate as well. So we are confident that we will achieve our objective, if not surpass it this year.
Perfect. Now, could you give us or share a testimony of an end user experience at the AQVA and describe a little bit more, even outside of sailing, the benefits of this charity group?
Right, gladly. The comments you hear from AQVA sailors is independence, it's liberty, it's freedom. They leave their wheelchair on the dock, they get in this boat, specially fitted for their particular needs, and they go sailing, and they're in full control. And as I say, they have an active racing program at the AQVA. So these people really experience true liberty, the same as the rest of us sailors do. We all go out on the water because it feels so good. It feels great to control the sails. So they have all of this. In addition, the AQVA provides a very active social life. They're constantly having barbecues and parties at their various bases. And the members also love to come down to the Royal St. Lawrence Yacht Club when we hold the fundraising regatta on their behalf, which we will August 21st. They just love to come down and be mixing with regular sailors. You know, they're regular sailors too. So it's a wonderful thing. It's a term they use. It helps break the social isolation if you're a person with disabilities. So you can really see that. And they're great people when you get a chance to hang around with them. They're really, really fine group of people.
Patrick, could you tell us, if I am a sailor, how I can participate to this regatta, or how can I donate if I cannot participate myself?
Okay, great question. Basically, it's all done through the AQVA website. Basically, we primarily encourage people to register their boats, their sailboat particularly, and participate in the regatta. But if that is not suitable for you, you can also go online and make a donation to a friend's boat or your neighbor's boat, a donation to the AQVA on behalf of their boat, or just go on and just simply make a donation openly to the AQVA through the regatta. You can also come to the dinner at the Royal St. Lawrence on Saturday night, August 21st, and enjoy there. And we will also have a silent auction there, which you can participate in. And all of this you can find at the regatta website through the AQVA, www.aqva.org, O-R-G, and then look for the regatta on that website. You see all the details, all the boats that are registered. You can see how much every boat has raised so far, and also if you want to attend the dinner, you'll book the dinner through the website. So everything's there. AQVA.org, O-R-G.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast with our special guest, former Commodore Patrick Flaherty, representing the AQVA event. Please join us on August 21st, and please be generous, participate in order to raise the necessary funds to offer people with disabilities a chance to sail with us.